Welcome, Undisputed Universe, to another episode of Undisputed Nerds bonus show, Tips and Bits, where we go through this week's hottest news from around the comic book world. I am your host, Gentlemanly Gamer. This is my co-host, Zane Taicho. Zane, do something.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it, guys. Every week he impresses me. This is a bonus episode that we shoot every week in accompaniment to our regular podcast, Undisputed Nerds, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you can find a podcast. We are out there, guys. Go and check us out. But in the meantime, maybe check us out after this episode. So listen to this tips and bits stuff. For those of you who are new to this, we go through all the news, all the hottest news this week. We segment it into three sections. We go with DC, we go with Marvel, and we go with some Misk. So, Zany baby, this week we have all three. We have news from all three spectrums. So, give me what you want: Marvel, DC, or Misk, and we'll hop right into it.
Could I start off with some Marvel, please?
Oh, you dirty little devil. Of course you can. She-Hulk Attorney at Law. It's going on. It is happening out there. It is on the way. We've had 2 episodes so far, both featuring the Hulk in them. Spoilers potentially for this week's episode of She-Hulk. So if you haven't watched it yet, maybe just skip forward on this one a little bit. But in this week's episode, we got the revelation that Brucey's in space. He's on his way to Sakaar again. It seems like he's in a Sakarian ship. Well, Entertainment Weekly had an interview this week with Bruce Banner star Mark Ruffalo.
Nice.
And the subject came up that are we on the cusp of seeing a World War Hulk movie based on the fact that the Hulk is now returning to Sakaar? So for those of you who know the Planet Hulk storyline in the comics, this is what leads into World War Hulk. And this was his direct quote, Zane. The cool thing about this world is that it could just be anything. 5 years from now, it could totally morph into anything, whatever's pertinent at the time. I almost seeing him going back to Berserk Hulk or World War Hulk. It could go anywhere. That's the exciting part. I've played 5 different versions from beginning to now, and that's kept it interesting for me, and I hope interesting for other people. So, Ruffalo basically says it could well go into Berserker Hulk or World War Hulk. World War Hulk is one of my favorite books of all time from Marvel Comics. What are your thoughts on this, buddy? Would you like to see World War Hulk come to fruition?
Absolutely. There's no better time, because I don't know if you've seen or heard the sort of community on, and especially Hulk fans are kind of done with Smart Hulk, Professor Hulk, Jokey Hulk, whatever you want to call him. A lot of fans are screaming
cordial
out.
Hulk.
A lot of fans are crying out for the Hulk that we got in 2009, 2008, Incredible Hulk.
Well, Avengers 2012.
I was thinking of the Edward Norton that fought.
Oh, right. Sorry.
They want that sort of savage, like, Hulk version back. They don't want this.
Well, yeah, again. He was Savage Hulk in 2012, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But I think for a lot of people, so much so, a lot of people are actually going back to watch the Ang Lee Hulk movie, because they're like, I want that fix of Carnage and Rampage.
It's not Carnage. Oh man, don't. Wow, way to trigger me immediately at the beginning of the show. The Ang Lee Hulk, right, is an exploration of psychological melodrama. That's what the Ang Lee Hulk is. And like, it has one good sequence where Hulk goes on a bit of a rampage, but that's it. It's not a good Hulk film. It's not a good Hulk film. I'm sorry, people. Like, it's a great exploration of psychological torment and like how, sins of the father can affect you. But like, it's not a good Hulk film. I don't want to go back to that. No. I don't. I want the thing about the Hulk in the MCU, right? So
Hmm.
in the comics, he's terrifying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find him terrifying because he is like a super weapon with no
Mm.
direction. So he can just destroy anything and everything when he comes out. People, it's not really reflected very well in the MCU that at the moment. You know, he's
No.
been very targeted with his Hulk rage, you know, and it's kind of like we never, the only thing that came close was when he was in Johannesburg, and Iron Man needed
Yes.
to use the Hulkbuster armor. That's like what the Hulk is like in the comics. Like everyone's
Mm.
terrified of him because when he's around, stuff goes to, you know, pot.
Mess. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The World War Hulk is a different creature altogether.
Beast.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I won't go into too much detail here because we could go on for hours about World War Hulk because
Mm.
it is literally my favorite Hulk story like ever written. Planet Hulk and World War Hulk are my absolute favorites. But you know, in World War Hulk, it's not the reason why the Hulk is so scary and why
Hmm.
Worldbreaker Hulk is so scary is that he is intelligent, he is smart, he's
Yeah.
strategic, plus he's insanely strong because because the idea is every time when the Hulk gets mad, rage fuels his gamma. So like
Hmm.
the more angry he gets, literally the stronger he gets. And like he's so unbelievably furious in World War Hulk that nothing will stop him.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing apart from the man with the power of a million exploding suns.
Yeah. It's I guess we know, and maybe not everyone knows this, because funny enough, someone even texted me this week about it. But we know that the reason MCU Hulk has been nerfed so much is because of the legal rights to Universal Pictures when it comes to Hulk. Like, you know, he's always the secondary character in these movies. He's never the main character because, again, uh, all the legalities when it comes to Universal. But there's rumors going around that apparently Marvel Studios may have got the rights back now, which is why everyone's kind of getting behind this idea of maybe we'll see a World War Hulk.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know whether I don't know whether that's the reason it's been nerfed. I I I, I think that you know, there's a lot to be said for the original Avengers, and
Yeah.
their appeal. And you know, he is an original Avenger, and you know, kids like the Hulk, and you know,
Yeah.
they want a friendly Hulk. And you know, if you the next thing you see, you know, it's a natural evolution to replace superheroes with other superheroes, and they've explored a little bit with Wanda now in Doctor Strange what happens when a hero can fall,
Yeah.
because you know the next thing I want to see is the Hulk smashing the face in of Doctor Strange when he tries to magic him, because that's
Yeah.
what happens in World War Hulk. It's amazing.
Yeah. I
Like he
remember.
has
I
to,
remember.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Doctor Strange has to call on I can't remember which demon it is. It's not Sitarak. It's one of the other demons. But he has to try and summon a demon inside himself to beat Hulk, and it still doesn't work. So like I want to see that. Like I want to see a film. I literally want to see a crossover movie of World War Hulk where he systematically destroys every superhero. I wouldn't be surprised if actually this might be the final curtain for some of the originals. Maybe this is how Hawkeye will die, killed by the Hulk, you know, and it's the
Maybe.
ultimate kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
falling is you know, the only thing that can take it's like House Targaryen. The only thing that can take them down is themselves. So yeah,
It's
we'll
sad
see.
that we might not be able to see Hulk fight Black Bolt on the moon. I always remember that panel. I think
Yeah,
that was amazing when
my
I read that.
favorite. That is my absolute favorite Hulk moment. I genuinely think that's my favorite Hulk moment of all time
Mm.
because he did like so. Black Bolt obviously has an incredible sonic power in his voice and can
Hmm.
level mountains with a word. And he whispers enough. I think he whispers at Hulk, like he just says
Yeah.
enough, but in a whisper, and it shears through the moon and just like gives this massive shockwave at Hulk. And the next thing and then he just turns around like it's done. And then the next thing you see is just Hulk jumping at him. Like you hear just Hulk off screen just going, I don't want to hear a whisper. And then the next thing you see is Hulk jumping towards him going, I want to hear you scream. And then he just beats the hell out of him. And I'm just like, yeah, that's so badass. I love Hulk so much. Yeah, I absolutely adore Hulk. I think it's great. And yeah, anyway, we spent 10 minutes on one news article, Zane. I said we were going to get through this quick tonight. Honestly. Right, anyway, moving on. So the last bit of Marvel news I've got this week, it does look like Marvel might have their Fantastic Four reboots director. So it was originally going to be John Watts who bowed out when it seems like he's going to be doing Spider-Man 4, but we're not sure yet. Nothing's confirmed. But they've lined up WandaVision director Matt Shakman to direct Fantastic Four. Apparently, he is being in talks and potentially has been offered. So it looks like he might be confirmed at D3 next month.
Interesting.
Based on WandaVision, the series. What do you think about this? I mean, I'm kind of into it because obviously WandaVision carried that kind of family vibe, which you kind of need with Fantastic Four. And the action was pretty good, especially the Vision fight was excellent. So what are your thoughts on this, Zane?
Interesting. I wonder if this is like a new sort of program when it comes to MCU. Like maybe you start off with one of their TV shows and then, get promoted into one of their movie lines, or who's to say? But no, it's interesting. I did enjoy WandaVision. Again, here's the tricky thing, TV is obviously shot differently when it comes to movies, but then it makes me wonder, did they really shoot WandaVision like a movie and then it just got chopped into a TV
show? That's a good question. It's a very good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just goes to show that the breed of directors coming from both TV and film are equally high caliber now. And you can there's the line between television and cinema is blurring in that regard. Absolutely. We're seeing an impact on cinema, obviously, because of the rise of streaming services and that kind of thing. You look at some TV series, which is arguably better than movies, like Better Call Saul or, your Breaking Bad's Sandman even is a good example of that, it says a lot, but interesting.
Russo's came from TV. They directed Community for years before they.
Yeah. Oh, Alison Brie. Sorry. Sorry, went off on you got me there. But no, I'm game for this. I think WandaVision was good, and I think that this is going to be a good establishment for Fantastic Four. I'm excited. All right. Well, that's all the Marvel news I had this week. There is other Marvel news out there, obviously, guys, but we're a short show, so what do you want from us? Zane, DC or MISC?
Let's run through the MISC.
Let's run through the MISC. All right. So, I mean, love him or hate him, but John Boyega's been chatting again. He's been talking about his experiences in Star Wars, He's still talking about it, yeah. So he was having a conversation with sffgazette.com. And Boyega, he was asked about Star Wars because, once you're in Star Wars, you're always in Star Wars. And he's obviously previously shared his dissatisfaction with how he was used and the way the studio responded to like some racist abuse he faced. And basically, someone was asked, are you happy with how Star Wars for you finished? And would you want to come back? And this was his direct quote. I think Finn is at a good confirmation point where you can just enjoy him in other things, the games, the animations. But I feel like episodes 7 to 9 was good for me. I'm done. So he's not coming back at all. He's not going to be in Star Wars again. He's finished with the role. He wants to move on from it. Clearly, he's this generation's Harrison Ford. Doesn't he wishes they killed him off. Maybe he'll come back to die one day. Who knows? But Zane, what do you think? Are you happy to see the back of John Boyega's Finn, or do you think that he had more in the tank?
It's one of those tricky things because it did feel like that at the start. That character had a journey, and it just fell off the tracks. And it's just there's little things that could have even in the last movie, that could have just made it a little bit nicer. I don't know,
100%.
but yeah, it's a shame, and I feel really bad for him a lot of the time, because going in as a Star Wars fan and coming out not a fan anymore because of the whole experience and how they portrayed your character, it's going to leave anyone discouraged from the franchise going forward, I imagine.
Baffling to me that they ended his Phasma arc in episode 8 and it
Yeah,
didn't end in
yeah,
9, because you had a Gwendolyn Christie's an amazing actress, and like you
yeah,
killed her off in the second of the trilogy. Like, why? And then you never got that payoff in the final. Like, it's the big final final shebang. Why would you not do that? So yeah, stupid. Yeah, he had more to offer, but I'm not necessarily disappointed to see the back of Finn. I think the character ran out of steam very quickly after episode 8, and you know he's not exactly talked about now as like an amazing Star Wars character that we all miss.
yeah.
He was just a guy, basically. All right, moving on. So the Umbrella Academy. We never ended up doing a review of it on the show, but we did watch season 3, the two of us,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed it. Bit weird, bit all over the place. It is a bit all over the place, it feels like, at the moment.
Yeah.
But it ended well. They've not got their powers anymore, but it was interesting. Well,
Hmm.
good news for those people who like it. Netflix has officially commissioned a 4th and final series of the popular Dark Horse comic. So
Nice.
series 4 will be the end. Showrunner Steve Blackman said in a statement, "I'm so excited that the incredibly loyal fans of the Umbrella Academy will be able to experience the fitting end to the Hargreaves siblings' journey we began 5 years ago. But before we get to that conclusion, we've got an amazing story ahead for season 4, one that will have fans on the edge of their seats until the final minutes." I'm very happy that they're doing this. I'm very happy that they've announced it's the final season. I think the show is running out of steam. However, I think
Yeah.
it still has something more to tell. And I hope this is going to be a nice little neat bow on the end of it. What do you think, Zane? Are you happy to see season 4 of the Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, it's we've spoken about it before on the podcast. We're always worried about when you fall in love with a series, if it will get a second series, especially on Netflix.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there's going to be a season 4. Like you said, it does feel like it was losing steam in terms of where they could go with the series.
Yeah.
I kind of thinking outside of it as well. Like, this is a Gerard Way comic, and on the other side of the fence, I know Doom Patrol, I think that's no longer happening now as well, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, they've ended it.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of sad, like, 2 of his projects are kind of finishing, but
Well,
hell of a run, both of them.
isn't he touring with My Chemical Romance again? I thought they were
Yeah,
back together
yeah,
and touring.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sure he's okay for money. Um, No, I'm excited to see the Umbrella. I think season 1 and 2 of the Umbrella Academy, season 1 and 2 of the Umbrella Academy have been some of the best stuff that Netflix has put out. I think season
Yeah,
3 was extremely disjointed and had a lot of weird plot points that you could kind of tell they were running out of steam and they didn't really know where they were going to go with it. But Tom Hopper is, as Luther, is
hmm,
just so endearing and so
yeah,
lovely. And every time I watch him in it, I fall in love with him all over again. He's amazing. Speaking of, we talked about Tully in the Game of Thrones, the House of Dragons show, which you should check out, guys. But like, he's wonderful. He's such a great actor,
yeah.
and I love him and stuff. So, anytime I see more of him, it's great. And
The whole cast, really, they're
yeah,
so, like, their charm really carries the show and everything. I wonder if the disjointment of the last season, because I think it was shot during COVID as well, so I do wonder if the limitations
I
on what they could
think
have
so,
done
maybe.
is, yeah,
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I don't know. It just felt yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to see Hargreaves, the reason why Hargreaves needed the family together
mm,
in order to fight this weird hotel dimension thing. It was interesting. Like, it was nice that
yeah,
we've got that culmination. I guess the question still stands is, where is Hargreaves actually from, and is there
yeah,
more of his species on the planet, and what's the deal with all that, and what do they do without their powers, yada yada yada, etc. etc. Anyway, so yes, we're all here at Undisputed Nerds. We are looking forward to Umbrella Academy season 4. Speaking of season 4 of things, Zane, it has been announced this week. Obviously, The Boys is coming back for season 4, and
Fantastic news.
My lordy lord, the man, the comedian, the Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be joining the cast of season 4 of The Boys. THR broke this news earlier this week. There's no additional details. Morgan's role is being kept completely under wraps. The likelihood is it will be an original character for TV. Because at this point in time, most of the major players have been in the show or cast in the show already. So probably we're looking at a new creation for this season specifically. I love Jeffrey D. Morgan in most things. I really wanted a Thomas Wayne Batman universe with him in it as Batman. Absolutely. I think that would have been fantastic, and I think they missed the boat with that. We'll talk about some of that with DC news, though. I'll bring that back up again.
Cool.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on old JDM joining the boys?
Exciting, really exciting. He's always captivating, like no matter what role he is or how small it can be, because as you mentioned, the the opening sequence in Batman v Superman, Thomas Wayne, I will always remember him for being in Supernatural as Dean and Sam's dad.
Yes, and that's what a lot of people are excited for, because obviously Jensen Ackles is Soldier Boy, and the likelihood is Soldier Boy will be back in season 4 as well. So a lot of people are expecting some kind of, maybe he'll be the dad of Soldier Boy that he mentioned in the flashback, who was really abusive of him, possibly. That's could be. We don't know, but yeah. Anyway, can't wait to see JDM. Can't wait to see him. He's the new RDJ. So I've just had some breaking news come through that has just dropped literally at this point in time. It falls into the MISC category, so it's kind of appropriate that's happening. Netflix's Resident Evil TV series is cancelled after just 1 season. It is dead and gone, Zane. It was a new idea that they were going with. I will say the first episode started off very strongly, and then it fell apart very quickly. Not really sad to see the back of this. What does this mean for the future of the Resident Evil franchise, Zane? Does it have a place to live? Because the movies obviously have not struck, and the games are still super popular. So where do they go from here?
My hot take is maybe just stick with the animated movies. I've heard good things about the animated CGI movies that are on Netflix. So I guess that's just going to be their bread and butter going forward. It's either the games, the animated movies. That's it.
I mean,
comics and books.
Yeah, they don't really do comics and books very much. They do dabble in it. I think Resident Evil 8 was I think universally praised. It was very well received. They've got DLC coming out for it in October. They've announced the remake of Resident Evil 4, which is coming up very soon. They seem to have got into a very comfortable pattern of doing big new. So like Resident Evil was an original story, and then they remade Resident Evil 2. And then they released Resident Evil, I think they did 2 and 3 remake like very quickly, because it was quite easy for them to remake Resident Evil 3 because they made it very short. And then they did Resident Evil 8, which is an original piece again. So they did kind of like original, remake, original. And now they've just announced they're doing another remake with Resident Evil 4. So it seems like they've got into quite a healthy pattern of remake, original, remake, original. I think I still haven't seen Welcome to Raccoon City, the movie that they did, but I've heard very mixed things about that. It was either loved or hated by fans.
Is that animated as well?
No,
Or
it's a live action. It's got Tom Hopper in it.
oh
Actually, we
right.
were just talking about him in Umbrella
Oh,
Academy.
okay. Yeah.
He is Wesker in the film.
Right.
For those of you who know who Wesker is. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is probably a call to arms to stop doing Resident Evil stuff for a bit for live action things. I think you're right. I think stick to the animated movies. I know Degeneration was very good. Resident Evil Degeneration was good.
Right.
There's one that's set in Russia where Leon goes to like Russia and there's like a load of tyrants there and stuff like that. It's it's a fun wacky world, Resident Evil, when it comes to kind of zombie apocalypses. So
Right.
how it translates to film, I think people always tend to try and make it too serious, in terms of kind of like, yes, okay, it's quite a serious subject matter, the end of the world by a zombie apocalypse.
Mm.
But the reason why the Resident Evil the Resident Evil games are so fun is that it's a survival horror set within this wonderful world where the monsters are fantastic, and you grow attached to these characters because they seem quite human fighting their way through it, even though realistically there's no way they'd survive.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever tapped into that really. They tend to go one way or the other, where they try and do an original idea that makes it like 28 Days Later, which is quite similar to what the TV series on Netflix was. Or
Right.
they go the other way and they try and make it like Fantastical Mila Jovovich, like, we're going to kill everyone. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, everyone's got to shh. Anyway, so yeah, maybe make it just a bit more grounded fun is what I would say.
Okay.
Focus on lush locations, like make Raccoon City feel like a real city that is alive and breathing, and this is the ramifications of real people that have happened, but then also keep it light to the point where you have like Nemesis running around chasing you. It's like I still, what I want to see from like a Resident Evil film is the Terminator with zombies.
Interesting.
And you can interchange out whoever you want. You can have Leon Kennedy is Kyle Reese, right? That's the basic gist of it. Claire Redfield is Sarah Connor, but like the badass Sarah Connor from 2.
Right.
And then you just have Mr. X is the Terminator, just this unstoppable force. But then you throw in zombies and the other enemies at the same time, and that's the plot of a film. That's all you need to do. Is literally just we need to get away from these things as quickly as possible, focus on the escape from this dire situation with this unstoppable force chasing you. And I think that'd be great.
Did you sit on those execs pitching Madam Web?
Listen, mate, I don't want to say
exactly what it sounded like that.
I don't want to say that I'm responsible for Madam Web, but what I basically said was, what Spider-Man is missing right now is plots from the Golden Girls. So we need to introduce a Spider-Man version of the Golden Girls. Do we know anyone who could be like that? And somebody said Madam Web, and I went, perfect.
Book it.
Book it. That's what I want to see. Exactly. And who says Sony's going down the pan? Anyway. Moving on, DC news now, Zane. That's our misc done for the day. So we've got some DC news. This stuff is gonna excite you, baby. This is the main event stuff. I saved it just for you. So first thing we're gonna cover, Zane.
Yes.
Obviously, we've got Pattinson.
Yes.
We've got Batfleck, your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Keaton coming back for The Flash, right?
Yeah.
Now, all I'm going to say to you is, as far as Batman are concerned, which is the next Batman that you want to see returning?
Returning? Oh, I mean, it's a tricky one. Do I want classic Clooney? Clutang? Would I want to see... Would I want to see good old Val Kilmer? It's tricky. I mean, Joel picked some top-notch Batman in his time, didn't he?
He really did, didn't he? Chris O'Donnell's coming. Listen, let me tell you, one of your wishes might be coming true, Zane, because
Yeah.
uh, there was a Q&A session with
Mhm.
Mr. Kilmer recently,
Hey.
and IGM's Jim Vovoda asked Kilmer about possibly reprising the role of Batman in a future DC project.
Mhm.
And Kilmer responded with an enthusiastic, yes, please. Kilmer, obviously desperate for a job, looking to reprise the role of Bruce Wayne from his classic Batman Forever. So
Wow.
your wish may well come true. Val Kilmer may be coming back. What do you think?
That's cool. That's cool. I'm trying to process it a little bit because I'm thinking, what could his role be? Because I mean, like, he's not going to get
It's a
back in the suit.
no, it's a Crisis on Infinite Earth. It'll be like multiple dimension Batman, won't it? That'll be what it is.
But what if Val Kilmer? I'm just going to kind of paint the scene a little bit. What if Val Kilmer is a little bit older? He's in the chair, and then they're like, "You're Bruce Wayne." He's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "You're Batman." He's like, "Not anymore." Camera pans over to a young kid, Terry McGinnis.
You know what? Like, I don't think I'm alone in the Sony pitch meetings from that from that discussion right there. Because that was awful the way you sold that. Awful.
Awful.
It was awful.
I mean, I'm no script writer, but I'm pitching it like,
If Terry McGinnis was to be introduced, Michael Keaton's Batman would be his Bruce Wayne. There's no two ways about it in my mind. Absolutely no two ways about it in my mind. Because the whole Batman Beyond universe was based
yeah,
around the animated series, which was based around the Tim Burton Batman. So
yes,
it it, it doesn't make any sense for it to be Val Kilmer's neon nightmare Batman world. I don't want to see that. But you know, I can
it's
I can
neon nightmare.
I can see him. I can see him getting like into shape and getting back in the suit. We've had we've had Keaton back in the suit. I don't see why Kilmer couldn't come back. But yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
um,
yeah, I think
yeah.
there's a better chance of Clooney fitting back in the suit.
Oh wow! Now you're being fattest against Kilmer. That's not called for. We
I didn't
we
want to
don't
go
condone
there.
that on Undisputed Nerds, guys. We
No.
don't condone that. Just to be clear. All right. So let's move on quickly to another piece of DC news.
Yeah,
So,
Clooney's back.
well, I'll tell you honestly, he's bringing his
Actually,
Nespresso machine with him.
Clooney and Batfleck on screen. I think that'd be magical.
Okay, so okay. Anyway, right. So Jason Momoa,
Yes.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is coming out soon. He's been doing the rounds. He's been in loads of interviews, talking about stuff, and basically he was asked about the Scarlet Speedster film and all the controversy that's coming out around that.
Hmm.
And some people were talking about basically the idea that him and Ben Affleck were recently hanging out on set together of the Flash movie.
Right.
And since then, we've heard rumblings that the actor was enlisted to replace Michael Keaton after test audiences were left scratching their heads about his return because nobody had any idea about what was going on and what was happening. So
Hmm.
it looks like your dreams have come true, Zane.
Yeah.
And it looks like Jason Momoa has dropped the bomb. And I'll say it in this quote when he
Okay.
was asked about this.
Yeah.
I love Ben. I love him deeply. This could have been you saying it. Uh, and yeah, F it, Ben's coming back. It's wonderful. We have a lot of surprises. So fun. It's a fun journey and a lot of laughs. I'm excited for everyone to see it. So this sounds like he's going to be in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, basically. Batfleck's going to be in it.
Nice.
And it sounds like Batfleck might be replacing Michael Keaton's scenes in The Flash. So we might not actually see Keaton in The Flash after all. Um,
Wow.
there's also the likelihood that potentially it could be cut out because David Zayas is on a bat culling at the moment, as far as the whole thing with Batgirl and the funeral is concerned. But I mean, do I need to really ask you if you're happy that Ben Affleck's coming back as Batman?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh, you'd be all
I
right with
guess
that.
the real question is, will there be like a scuba Batfleck in Aquaman and Lost Kingdom?
Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you? Little Scoobery Affleck in his little tight wetsuit.
It's a new action figure for the collection.
For your collection. Yeah, I got
The
you.
Bat Submarine.
Let's hope he's fully opposable. I got you. Yeah, all right, Zane. No worries. For those of you who have no idea, we've had a running joke now for more than a year that that Zane. I was about to say that Ben has an unhealthy fascination with Zane. Yeah, Ben Affleck, friend of the show. He's got an unhealthy fascination with Zane. It's definitely not the other way around. But yeah, there it is. All right, so yeah, you're excited to see Affleck come back, then, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
he's the best.
Yeah, okay,
Like,
all right. No, he's not the best,
know.
but yeah, all right, fair enough. Cool.
Best
All right.
Had.
Sure he is. Yeah, Pattinson's better, but yeah, fine. So all right, the final bit of news today. This is this has the potential to be big. Negotiations are still underway, but it does look like DC have found their Kevin Feige type to head up all of their DC brand reset, which they're referring to it. So THR are reporting that Dan Lin, who was the executive turned producer behind major hits such as the live-action Aladdin film, the Lego Movie, and It Parts 1 and 2, is in talks to take on the role of DC chief. Should he land the gig, Lin would oversee both the film and television arms, reportedly reporting directly to David Zaslav. So
yeah,
sounds like this guy is going to be the daddy when it comes to decisions moving forward for DC. Obviously his history with movies, obviously the Aladdin, I enjoyed the Aladdin live action film, just for the record, guys. Those who mock it, the Lego Movie and It Parts 1 and 2 were excellent. You cannot deny that. So interesting. It's interesting that he doesn't necessarily have a comic book background, because Feige did have a comic book background as a producer before he became the MCU's guru. What do you think? What do you think, Zane? Is this a good move? Is Dan Lin potentially the guy that we need for DC?
Potentially. I mean, it was a 2-part movie. So, I mean, that did well enough. And I think he also worked on the Lego Batman movie as well, right? Not just the Lego Movie?
I think so. I think he was like a producer on it. But Lego Batman is so nothing to do with... I mean, it's...
So far from...
Yeah. Very far.
So, yeah, potentially he could be... I mean... Personally speaking, I think someone like a Greg Weisman, who did all of the animated stuff, linked to Young Justice, the Green Lantern, like little CGI series that we had. I think he would be incredible because he's still connecting the animated universe together so well.
Here's an idea that will explode your brain that I thought about the other day, talking about animated ones. They're never going to go for this in a million years, but Paul Dini.
Paul Dini is a great shout.
Created Harley, I mean, like, did all of Justice League Unlimited, like, not to mention obviously the understanding of Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond. Like, the guy gets it when it comes to DC stories.
But funny enough, like the Bruce Timm Batman the Crusader animated show got cancelled, didn't it? With JJ and Matt Reeves.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah. But that might have just been a Zaslav wave of bat hating.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I've got faith in Bruce Timm anymore now. Like some of his animated movies that he's done since it's kind of been really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Bruce Timm should do. I'm saying Paul Dini, because Paul Dini's the one who wrote the Arkham games as well. He wrote the
Yeah.
Arkham games for Rocksteady, which are incredible. Like, they're really good, and it's like he's a great storyteller and has an understanding of how to interconnect the world. And I think, I don't know what Danlin's going to be like if it is him who gets it, but without the understanding of how the worlds work together and what is popular and what isn't popular and what works as good stories, let's see how it turns out.
The best thing I could hope for now is, and I read something recently about how Marvel did a similar thing, that they had like a council of comic book writers for Marvel, and apparently like Bendis was on that council as well. And when they started the MCU, they would go to the council of writers to double check that, is this a character motive in line with the character? So would Tony Stark do this? Would so and so do this? But and they did that for the first couple of movies, and then once things started steamrolling, then they kind of didn't feel the need for them anymore.
Would you
hope,
go on?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hope they maybe something similar with DC. But yeah,
would you like me to go through the list of big films and shows that this guy has been attached to?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, are you ready to strap yourself in for this? Because it's oh boy. Okay, so we start off with an development executive uncredited on The Departed. Very good film. Very good choice. Excellent. Then we move on to executive producer on Terminator Salvation.
Oh,
the Christian Bale future Terminator. Okay. Then
yeah,
not bad. Then we go on to the awful Ricky Gervais film, The Invention of Lying, which he was a producer on.
I never watched Ricky Gervais movies.
Okay, so then moving on from that, we go up again to exciting, because he was the producer on Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes film. Both of them, Sherlock Holmes 1 and A Game of Shadows. He also produced Gangster Squad, which is another great movie starring Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
He went on a bit of a stretch, because after that he then did the Lego Movie, which we've established is excellent. He's done a TV series called Forever, which I don't know. Frequency, which I don't know. He did the Lego Batman movie, you rightly said.
Okay, cool.
He produced Death Note.
Oh no, which one? The Netflix one.
The horrible film Netflix. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that would hit you in the right space. There we go. He went on to do It after that. So It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2.
Right.
The Lego Ninjago movie.
Okay.
The Lego Movie 2. This will strap yourself in for this one. He did the ill-fated but ran for 3 seasons, I don't know how, Lethal Weapon TV series.
Funny thing, I thought about Lethal Weapon the other day. I was like, if we were to do a new Lethal Weapon, who would be Riggs and who would be
you and me?
I think it's because of Predator 2. Thinking about Predator 2, I was instantly went into like a Lethal Weapon trailer thought.
I watched Predator 2 again recently. I still haven't watched Prey, so I'm watching the first 2 Predators to kind of get warmed up to watch Prey.
Got it.
And oh my god, Danny Glover in that film. Like, if you ever want an example, allegedly, of somebody who has been on cocaine every day on set, Danny Glover's the perfect example of that on Predator 2. It's incredible. I forgot how long that fight at the end goes on between him and the Predator. It's 40 minutes of the movie, Zane.
Is it?
Is him having that fight with that Predator at the end. Like, 40 minutes!
I'm watching it this weekend.
It's ridiculous. Pussy face. Anyway, so yeah, after Lethal Weapon, he did Aladdin, the live-action version of Aladdin. He also did Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Interesting.
It Chapter 2, The Two Popes, Into the Fire, Unikitty. I don't know what that is. He was responsible for Godzilla vs. Kong. He's executive producer on Godzilla vs. Kong.
Okay.
The Pink Panther, which is apparently coming out this year. He was that. And as far as projects that are coming up, Lego Batman Movie 2, Aladdin 2, Sherlock Holmes 3, Lethal Weapon 5, Johnny Quest, which I'm surprised at.
Wow. Yeah.
And also, probably most surprising, TV series, Avatar: Last Airbender. He's the executive producer on the Last Airbender. Yeah,
That's
I'm
interesting.
genuinely quite surprised at that. Yeah, anyway, what I'm seeing from this resume is absolutely zero history of comic book movies or any touching on any of them. So great choice, DC. Nice work. Anyway, that's it.
That's it.
What a way to end.
They've obviously, looked at his resume and said, there's some bangers in here.
I think
Yeah.
I think it depends. It could be a very good thing that they have somebody who isn't directly invested in comics, because obviously the Jeff Johns appointment to the creative DC director didn't work well, and produced Joss Whedon's terrible Justice League. So maybe this is exactly what we need: somebody to take a step back and say, actually, does this make sense from an audience perspective, remembering that we're not just trying to cater just for comic book fans here, and we're looking for a mainstream audience, but we don't want to make it too stupid. I don't know, but we'll see what's to come. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week's tips and bits. Was there any tips and bits that we missed out that you want to hear about or that you want us to talk about? Get in touch with us. Zane, how can they reach us?
You can email us nerdsundisputed@gmail.com, and you can find us on all our social media at undisputed_nerds on Instagram, Twitter, all the works.
You can find me personally on Instagram at Gentleman the Gamer, also on Twitch, twitch.tv/GentlemanTheGamer, and go and check out our main podcast, Undisputed Nerds. Again, I will say it again, on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you can find podcasts, go and get it. Go and enjoy. We're talking this week about the House of Dragons, did an in-depth review of episode 1 and talked about our theories and some of the history of it, where we think it's going. So go and check it out. Zane, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you next week for more of the bits and the tips of the hottest news.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.